Come on.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the only podcast produced by three winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. You're tuned into the Check Engine podcast. We're streaming through Anchor.fm or anywhere else that streams interesting, cool, exciting content that you want to listen to. My name's Nick. Along with me for this ride, as per usual, are my two co-hosts, Andrew and Tristan. Tristan, what's up?
I hope a good discussion. But I fear either we all agree or we don't discuss at all. We'll find out.
That's not what's up. That's what's afoot.
Yeah, that's what's a.
Well, nothing's up then. That's. I don't have anything to say. Move on.
Okay.
He's worried. He's worried about this episode.
He is. Andrew, what's going on, man?
I have a question. Did we ever find out whether or not we are, in fact, two-time winners of the IMSA Spirit of the Race Award?
We've been nominated twice.
Definitely been nominated twice, and we've won once. So we may need to update that intro anyway. But are we two-time winners? I could never find record of it.
You would have to, what is it, IMSA's Twitter that does that?
I looked. I didn't see anything. IMSA Radio Twitter.
IMSA Radio. Hashtag SOTR.
I'll look while we're doing the rest of this. But, I mean, we may, in fact, be twice as cool as we were just a few weeks ago.
We're already a little bit more cool than we were just last week because of what happened at Road America. So
true. I mean,
oh my God.
Wow. I mean, since we last recorded, it's been momentous. I mean, is that where we start? I mean, did you just go right in?
We can do a quick review in case people have missed it. In case they didn't see or hear the episode or see our millions of posts.
Yeah, let's start.
roughly millions.
Roughly millions. Well, it started off with, for whatever reason, they thought we were pros and they awarded Andrew a media photo pass.
Yeah, they did do that.
And Andrew, you took good advantage of it.
I tried to.
You were bravely going where no amateur podcast ever gone before. Literally hanging over concrete barriers into oncoming traffic trying to get photos.
Striding boldly over fences, under ropes.
Down some bullshit ass ravine.
Through gates.
Yes, lots of that. It was such a weird thing. So like Nick said, I did actually get media credentials and a photo vest for the IMSA Race at Road America, well, last weekend. 2 weeks ago? I don't even know. Time.
Roughly 10 days
ago
from
10
when
days.
we're recording this.
Anyways, I got the credentials and I didn't expect to. I just applied.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a weird insider organization is what I was explaining to Tristan a little bit before I went and got them because the 2 days before, Wednesday before, I went up on Thursday. I called the number that came in with the credentials just to like kind of go through everything again, because although I might be a squid, I don't want to act like one. I can look like one. That's all cool. But you just don't want to act like one because this is like the Insiders Club.
Right.
So I call and some guy picks up. It almost sounded like I called like some dude's cell phone. He was just like, hello. There's like no intro, no greeting, nothing.
No, thank you for calling Road America Credential Office.
No,
none of that.
None of that. Not a bit of it. And so I'm just like, yeah, hello. I got media credentials for the IMSA race coming up. And I just wanted to make sure, there's all these photo meetings and I know I got to go to at least one. I just wanted to check the times and make sure that everything's okay. Because one of the things that came in the credentials was the actual media credential, but that is not a photo credential according to Road America. There's two applications. So the acceptance I got made mention of the photo meetings.
That you, for the photo credential, you may or may not have.
Right. And I didn't know. So I had filled out two applications and gotten one response. So I just asked me, just wanted to make sure I did also apply for the photo credential. I don't see anything mentioned, but I just see the photo meetings listed. And he's like, well, everything's on the form. Like, okay, I just wanted to make sure that everything. So I just need to go to one of these meetings or all of them. He's just like, well, everything's on the form. Like, all right, oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, I
thanks for your quote help.
And hung up. I basically knew how that phone call was going to go. Like, these gatekeeper people are just the worst, universally. But going to the track, getting to the first meeting, everyone there was super nice, and everyone there was incredibly professional, except for me, who just looked like a total asshole. So I think I mentioned this at the track, but
we say it all the time. We're not pros.
I know.
Why don't they understand?
No one believes me.
So I walked in, and most of the guys in the room were wearing like gray IMSA branded vests.
Yeah.
Which apparently is what you get if you do 5 or more races a year. And they also had photo tags, like hard ID cards, which are also what you get. And I didn't have anything. I just walked in there with a hat on.
Right.
And
damn fine hat, by the way.
Oh, thanks. But it was just so bizarre because they all knew what they were doing. I didn't. Everyone else totally understood everything. And so one guy gets up and he just goes, well, everyone was here for the IndyCar race a couple of weeks ago. Nothing's changed. That's it. And like almost as an afterthought, he goes, oh, is anyone new here? And just like me and one other guy slowly raise our hands. And he's just like, all right, well, come see me after. It was just like so weird.
It's like the drivers' meetings at all the karting club events.
I totally believe it.
Like kart clubs was the same thing. So same thing as last week. Here's what the flags mean.
Yeah.
Don't do anything stupid. Is there anybody new? Oh, all right, come see me after the meeting. That's how it went every week when I was racing.
And this is basically the same thing. Just to give like a comparison scope. So there's me, just some asshole. And when I got in there, we had some time to stand around because people were assembling for the meeting. And the guy in front of me was talking very loudly about the IMSA vest and saying it was like so ridiculously hot and, it wasn't that great, but it wasn't as bad as some other ones he had. And then he's going on about photo vests. And then he pulls out of his IMSA vest his Rio Olympics vest. And he's like, now this is the best vest I've ever worn.
Wow.
And the guy across from him was like, oh yeah, I had one for the Super Bowl. And that was like, and I was just like, oh shit. What am I doing here? It was so weird, man.
Ground floor.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All the photographers and everyone other than the phone call guy could not have been nicer. They could not have been easier to work with. They explained everything. They did not make it appear abnormal for someone new to be coming in at all, which is great.
Great.
So,
awesome.
Yeah. It was weird. But the whole thing was very odd.
Great, but weird.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. So Andrew got his photo vest. One of the first things he did was he got in before the crowd to take photos of the new C8, which made its public debut.
Inches away from the new 2020 C8 Corvette. That is such a good car.
It's a great car. It just shouldn't be named a Corvette. That's all.
It's too late.
It already is. Just appreciate it.
I will say, totally, not what we were going to talk about, but seeing that car in person, the buttons do look hilarious.
Yep.
They look absolutely hilarious.
Confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed buttons are ridiculous.
But I am blown away by how much that car looks like a C7. I think they look so similar for an entire difference in the way the car is built.
Yeah, I think they did a good job moving the DNA forward.
Mm-hmm.
You can, if you follow the landmarks, go way, way back in Corvette design by matching one to the next, you can see how they got there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the, fish walking out of the water, becoming a man.
Mm-hmm.
You can lay all the Corvettes like that, and it's like, well, that's actually... you and I were discussing, like, now the problem is now I actually really want one of these.
Oh, no, I really want
more
one.
even. Like, I was impressed with them, but seeing it in person, even in my opinion, in the entirely wrong color, in every regard.
That's my favorite color.
See, I didn't like any of the colors, and I still wanted it.
I love the accents they had on it, where it's like the rims weren't chrome; they were just like a lighter,
which is no longer available at all.
Yeah, news story on that.
Yeah.
We were wondering, but I was wondering.
It was like a it was like a brownstone type,
coppery,
bronzy color that they had on it, and then the wheels were like almost like a champagne color.
Yeah, that was
just cool. The accent was awesome. Still don't like that it's a Corvette, but I'll give them the color choice. That was nice.
Mortar is falling out of the walls. You can see it already.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, he's back. He's coming back.
I'll patch that up. Don't worry.
I'll patch it up with haze.
With a fresh batch of haze.
Oh man! And then So we wandered around all day Friday. You're taking photos from everywhere, just trying to get you basically the best access. And then we get into Saturday.
We got a golf cart.
We got a golf cart. That was life changing.
That was worth it.
I can't go back.
That was worth it. That was worth the splurge for
so good.
$300 or $400 or whatever it was for
so
the week.
Good.
It was. For those of you who haven't been there, the facility is huge, and places that would take us a half hour to walk to, we got there in 3.5 minutes.
We didn't have to pick two corners. Like, that's normally what we do. We say, okay, we've got this race. We want to do Canada, so we might as well do Canada in 5. You know what I mean?
Like, forget it. You're not going to see the carousel. You're not going to see turn 1 unless you want to miss huge swaths of the race.
Right.
We didn't have to choose. Ooh.
And it was good because we loaded up the radio, we loaded up the fan,
the cooler.
I
felt like the man riding around that place with like the radio on. Oh, that was great.
Yeah, John Hindhoff's silky smooth voice,
dulcet tones.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, what a crazy awesome day. For more reasons than one, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we've been thanking them for a week plus on socials, shouting them out, but Heinricher Racing with Meyer Shank are the coolest people ever.
Absolutely.
Automatically. They win. That was, you talk about, not sure how it was going to go down. He just asked for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. It was just kind of we took a swing on Twitter and said, we'd like to interview the all-women lineup in the 57 car, and like, no kickback, no who are you, no, they're like, okay, meet us at the hauler at 2 p.m. on Saturday. We're like, what?
Yeah, and shout to Maddie, their manager, who actually, I tweeted that, they put Meyer Shank Racing put out something like, tell us your wish or something like that, on some random day. And I was like, hey.
It was like New Year's or something.
It was.
Like a New Year's resolution or a New Year's wish or something?
Yeah, and I was following... We were talking about it. I was going back through old posts on our Facebook page, weirdly enough, because I lost my show notes for the necromancy episode, which someone mentioned they had listened to, and I was like, yeah, that's right. Which one did I bring back? So I went to the photo album for it, but I was scrolling back through old posts, and there was a post in like March about how like, hey, answer me on Twitter. We want to talk to you. We've been after this for a while. So
we really have.
But yeah, they let us do it, and we met with team owner and founder, and actually she's a driver too. Like I felt bad that we didn't have enough time to get into her actual driving career, but Jackie Heinricher, who this whole all-woman lineup vision was hers. She spearheaded the whole thing, and then the two drivers for this past weekend at Road America, Catherine Legg and Bia Figueiredo, came in. Again, couldn't have been more accommodating, couldn't have been nicer. I was, even as I saw the interview was going really well, like about halfway through, I'm like, this is going well. In the back of my head, I was still so fucking nervous.
Oh, God, I was freaking out.
I was freaking out in the inside. I was trying to keep my cool.
They put me right in the middle.
You right in the middle, and with like one of your celebrity racing crushes, Catherine Legg, right across the table from you.
I've been a huge fan of Catherine Legg since I knew who she was. And I was like, yep, she's awesome. And I got to interview her, and I was like, internal screaming. What's the internet meme?
Yeah, exactly. I could do 3-hour interviews with all of them individually, and then probably like an 8-hour one, just with the three of them assembled and talking about anything that they would care to talk about.
Yeah,
I mean, it was so amazing.
Super pleasant surprise. I mean, I figured Jackie would be easy to talk to because she's a business person, gonna be a good conversationalist.
Mm-hmm.
I figured that Catherine had given enough interviews; she'd know what that's about. Pleasant surprise was Bia. Though.
She was awesome.
She was, I didn't know much about her. I knew something about her, but she was very open and very willing to talk about anything that we didn't know about.
She's a pro's pro for sure.
Yeah,
for sure, totally.
Like Nick,
engaging, entertaining with everything she was talking about. Like, if only we had a camera in there, so like you could like being a Brazilian is very expressive.
Yeah.
So I mean, hand gestures and all this stuff. Like she was an exciting interview. That was great.
Oh man, it was just one of those, like the context of obviously, three of us know, but we didn't really tell people. So we got there. Well, we knew that we would have some time with them, that we would get to meet with them. We didn't know what that would look like. We didn't know
what conditions.
Yeah, we didn't know anything. So we came with the whole rolling cart of different equipment. And before, we kind of planned out like, all right, if they do this, we do this. They do that, we do this. And it turned out that they just had a half hour. Catherine had less. Jackie had less.
Bia had less.
Yeah,
she came in late.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all rotated through. If you've listened to the last episode, you'll know that. But
yeah, so we just said, you know what? All of the plans, forget it. We're just going to record it on the phone. The content is going to have to be better than the quality. That's it. We're done. And I think it was the right choice.
We recorded on just the iPhone voice memos. I learned a couple things about Audacity, and we put together a halfway listenable episode as far as audio quality goes. And I think one of our best yet as far as content goes. So
out of the loudest ambient room
ever.
That thing was, I couldn't hear them while we were there.
Yeah, so much air conditioning and an idling diesel just on the other side of the wall.
Well, and you could hear the Lambos muffled into going by for their race as we were recording with them too.
That was a high stress recording situation.
It was.
But we made it through, and they agreed to let our little podcast take a ride with them on race day, a little free sponsorship.
I think Bia wasn't going to let that not happen.
Yeah, I think
she was volunteering wings, her own helmet. We'll find a spot. We'll do it.
I'll put it on my helmet if I have to.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So,
what an incredible experience.
We were fans of them anyway, but I mean, fans for life, ride or die with Heinricher Racing. Everybody, again, go follow Heinricher Racing in IMSA. They race the Acura NSX GT3 Evo in conjunction with Meyer Shank. HeinricherRacing.com is a good starting point there. So just give them another bump because, hell, they deserve it.
And I mean, remember, go back and listen to that interview again because there's some gems in there. I mean,
there's some potential nuggets.
Might we have an exclusive might this be the first mention of them saying they could possibly be looking at Indy? And listen, if they go to Indy, I go. It doesn't matter. I hate Indiana. I don't want to go. But if they go, I'm there. 1,000% in all the gear. That's me. Absolutely.
Yep. And potentially discussing a new driver for the first time.
Yeah. And as you said during the recording, this is how rumors get started.
Yep.
So
we'll see.
We may not say much more about that right now, trying to maintain some sort of journalistic responsibility, but
not pros, but capable of professionalism.
We're trying. That's right. We're trying. I think we held our own. And again, Heinricher Racing, a million thank yous. That was so cool. And then the race afterwards, photo finish in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. Ooh. Raining, not raining, slicks, wets, and then the McLaren going up the hill to win hits the pit limiter button.
Damn.
It's like 100 yards from the start finish.
And the Camaro takes it.
The Camaro takes it in the grass.
Podium for our boys.
Did we ever figure out what happened to the Hart Racing Honda?
Yes.
Drive time violation.
Ooh.
Yep.
Missed a minimum drive time.
Eversley was less than 8 seconds short
of his minimum drive time, so it's a full DQ. A class win.
Damn.
Yeah.
You so like they never even
like they never even showed up.
Yep.
Oh,
horrendous.
Just I'm gutted for those. And for those of you who don't know, that team, Honda America race team, the employees, it's all volunteer. Like they all work in some capacity for Honda as engineers or working on the plant floors, or like it's a volunteer team that's supported obviously by Honda because they all couldn't afford a car like that. So it's a company program of a bunch of volunteers, and they freaking won the race with friend of our podcast, I think we could say, and
acquaintance.
Podcast host himself, Ryan Eversley, as one of the two drivers, and then just gets taken away at the end there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That was and as we were
at the track, right, Murillo Racing last lap pass to get the podium.
Last corner pass.
Oh. Eric Foss. Hell yeah!
That was amazing.
Another fantastic interaction with them on the grid as well.
Always.
At this point, he just knows us, which is
Jeff Mosing is salt of the earth type of human being,
and just immediately, I think with a little poke from the wearing the correct T-shirt. Advertising the podcast, it's always arms up in the air. Hey, how are you guys doing? And it's that almost is just as exciting as the Heinricher thing, almost for me, where like people start to recognize us.
Yeah, totally.
Know us.
Yeah. Well, Eversley, Watkins, Glen. Hey, I know you guys.
Yep. Like, so all very cool stuff on Saturday.
Sunday, not a last lap pass, but a last lap duel. The Penske was running down the Mazda, just couldn't make it in time. There was some traffic that kind of bottled the leader up, and it got kind of dicey there at the end. Thought maybe there was going to be a draft, like slingshot pass coming up the hill for the win. Mazda just had a little too much out of that last corner, and 3 wins in a row for the Mazda team.
Which I'm pumped about that also. That would be my next interview. Andrew, get on it. Twitter time.
Mazda?
Yeah.
Mazda. Because of Yost. Right?
It's because of the Mazda team.
Sure. I'll ask.
I've got
we'll see what happens.
Facebook memories I've got from like the first time we went 2014 with you, 2015, of like super pumped about the Mazda prototype, and it hasn't done well until now.
Right.
I'm excited for them. I want to interview them. But
we'll see.
We'll see what happens. So all in all, a fantastic weekend at Road America.
It was good. The only thing that really bums me out, and I was telling Tristan this, just horrible luck or lack of knowledge on my part. So I had a fabulous spot for the Michelin Pilot Sport race inside of Turn 5. And in fact, the picture that IMSA used to promote the race was taken by the guy standing next to me. But all of my pictures from that day are useless.
Oh, really?
Because I don't really know what I'm doing. So I shot them at too high of an ISO. So they looked really good on the screen, but in full picture, they're just littered with noise. Like they look like they're static. Because instead of shooting it dark and then lightening it in post-processing, because it was raining, and it was just really hard conditions to shoot in anyways, and I have no idea what I'm doing with the camera. So I had everything too bright. And the pictures they're terrible. They're just barely useful.
Well, live and learn.
Yeah.
Now you know for next time.
So brutal. I actually by that time I actually had gotten some decent shots in, and there's a couple that eventually I'll get them all up and shared, but when we were out by the exit of the carousel, I have incredible shots of so many cars just coming right out of the carousel, just beautifully framed, like nice pictures.
Yeah.
I was actually getting into it, and I just, I fucked it all up. I'm so mad.
Well, live and learn.
Yeah.
Now you know for the next time you get a photo pass.
Exactly.
But yeah, all in all, a great, fantastic weekend at Road America. Thanks to everybody who made that possible. And, hey, we didn't record since the results we didn't have like an actual episode like this. I am Peeves going forward.
Oh my God, that's right.
It's been a minute, but we haven't actually sat down to do like a real recording since then. So I am the peeviest driver of the three of us.
That seems impossible. What were the final scores, by the way?
It was close. It was I had 20, Tristan had 19, and Andrew had 17.
It's only a spread of 3.
I'm a Christian motorist. I am a saint. I'm a living saint on the road. Recognize me.
You're apathetic.
Recognize me.
Apathetic at best.
So yeah, if any of you out there wants to take a ride with one of us, go with Andrew. Good luck.
Although
you won't be able to go with Andrew. That's why he's so good. He doesn't let anybody in his car. So ride with me. I let people ride in my car, and I'm also nicer than Nick.
Although I will say, I did open mine with a strong 1 million point, but Tristan countered with a 3 million, so I would have been second place.
Yeah, regardless, you wouldn't have been the highest score.
That's right.
Oh man! All right, too much looking in the rearview mirror. Let's get to what we've got to do tonight. Andrew, this is a This is an interesting topic. I can't believe we didn't think of this already.
Well, this is something that popped into my head late last week when I was driving home and saw a car in my rearview mirror at the world's longest light. Like at one intersection when I get home, if you hit the red there, it's 3 minutes.
Make dinner.
Like it's it's crazy. Yeah. I was looking at this car in my rearview, and suddenly I was like, you know what? That's actually pretty nice. And the car was a WRX, but an older one, and a one that pretty much everybody hates. And I suddenly realized that, they're wrong and I'm right. And so now we're going to talk about the best generation of cars that have either lasted for a long time or have super recognizable iterations, like the WRX is one that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, where the generation lines are clear.
So clear.
Yeah.
And, or cars that have just, become part of like the American fabric.
A lot of them were in our iconic cars discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a few of them in there.
So.
And no Corvette, because we need a break from making fun of Nick.
Thank you.
I just need to make new jokes. It's not about you.
It's a break.
You just need time to write new shit.
That's all right.
It's not a peace treaty. He's reloading.
I mean,
so yeah, we've got 6 cars or 6 vehicles. There's trucks included as well. And we're just going to go through and we're each going to pick our favorite generation. So not model year, but generation, like span of years of each one of these vehicles.
Maybe we can sway some opinions. That's what I'm hoping. I think we just start with the WRX because that's the car that kind of started it all.
I want you to start with this one because I'm dying to know which one was behind you that spurred this whole thing off. That's my biggest.
Well, was the one that was behind you the one that is your favorite?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I took from the story, but maybe I was wrong.
Well, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. Just confirming for the listener who may be asking.
It is, yeah. So I was sitting at a light, and behind me pulls up a 3rd generation WRX hatchback in blue. And that is a WRX that receives a savaging from people who generally like WRXs. At least that's what I've kind of noticed. People hate it. And I don't know why. I think it actually looks fabulous. That was a year where they made both a sedan and a hatchback version.
Yep.
I think both of them look awesome. I think as they've aged, when they came out, I was first kind of like, I think as they've aged, they actually look better and better. They have like a hint of futurism, but they still seem they're very much a WRX, but they're not overdone and they're not boring. And the current one kind of hits that perfect balance between overdone and boring, where it's like,
it's boring. I own one and it's boring.
But then you look at like the STI or the TAs.
It's great to drive, but not boring from behind the wheel, boring from the outside, especially in silver. But that's the point.
Yeah. So that car really struck me. Like, you know what? That looks fabulous. So I think it's the 3rd gen WRX is the best one.
To get this out of the way, I don't know if Nick also agrees, but I don't have a dissenting opinion here. That was also my choice because I think. On top of like just looks the best, like I also go from like what was the best generation from functionality, history, all sorts of stuff, and that was super iconic in pop culture. There was a lot of Ken Block, Dirt games like that was huge at the time.
Gymkhana.
Yep, the first one was in one of those, right?
I think he started with the 2nd gen.
Okay.
And then he went to
soon after.
But now he's with Ford, so it doesn't matter.
Right, it doesn't matter anyway. Yeah. But, that was huge in pop culture. And what are its capabilities as a vehicle? And by making the WRX and the STI a hot hatch, it's the perfect car.
Yes.
I only didn't buy one because I wanted a new car. If there was still one on a lot somewhere languishing away as a new vehicle that I get a warranty on,
right.
I would have bought that one.
Yeah.
Because you cannot beat a car that is fun, fast, and you can stick a refrigerator in the back of the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was why I had a hard push towards something like the GTI, even despite the deep-seated need for all-wheel drive in my mind. And I happen to be, the proprietor of the island of misfit toys. Like, I like square headlight Jeeps. I like the WRX generation that nobody likes.
I like the square headlight Jeeps too. They're better.
And so that's, I'm not very often, but in this case at least, a contrarian to popular opinion at least. But I definitely agree with Andrew. That generation I think is the best, and it came in that kind of gray purple kind of color. It always struck me as like almost purple, that light gray.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted that color so badly on my car, and it doesn't exist. So
I'm so surprised you agreed.
I'll just get the factory paint code and paint mine that color. It's fine.
I thought you were going to say the bug eye, honestly.
No, not the bug eye.
Second gen.
Maybe I like the second gen, but the blob eye one.
Sure.
The facelifted one.
Yeah. I mean, so that's of that generation. That's the one I prefer, but I still prefer the third generation one.
Yeah, this one. Well, actually, a lot of these were kind of tough for me. This one was one of those that was tough because I don't think there's a generation that looks bad or terrible. The generation I'm going with is actually the second generation, though.
That one was a close choice for me. I almost picked it just because they are generally regarded as some of the fastest and easiest to modify, and they had the.
That's why I was going to go with it.
Thing.
You're stealing my thunder, bruh.
Whole picture, Nick.
You're stealing my thunder. Exactly. Fastest, very easy to modify. And relatively inexpensive. So this is what you'd see a lot of the tuner guys modifying was the second generation. Also, I'm not too big on the bug eye, but I'm with you. Like this generation goes from 2000 to 2007, but there was actually two facelifts in that generation. It was 04 and 06. But so if we want to drill down and get really specific, like 04 to 07 is what I'm talking about. But it falls within the second generation. And
there's Bug Eye, Blob Eye, and Hawkeye.
Yes.
I'm serious.
Oh, those are the Avengers, bro.
Yeah.
On a personal level for me, like, I was actually bumming out because I found out the X Games were last weekend. There was no advertising. I could completely miss the whole thing. I'm still into it like I was when I was 13 or 14. I still think some of that stuff is amazing. And this was the generation of Subaru that was prominent when Rallycross first came into the X Games. So this was the one that like Travis Pastrana, Ken Block, this was the one that those guys were driving.
Super true.
When I used to watch the X Games every summer. So it gets a little bit more sentimental for me, but I'm going with the second gen.
Yeah. Like I said,
this isn't a lot of disagreement. I have nothing wrong with the third gen.
No, and I said second gen was a very close second for me, especially because it hits close to my current car because they released when you compare my car to the top trim STI right now, it's like a 12 or 15 grand difference. Like it's a big deal. And they did the same thing in that second generation. They came out with the WRX and the trim level was just TR. And that was like the stripped out version, like, cafeteria benches for seats and like just absolutely gutted with, the manual, and you had air conditioning, but it wasn't anything fancy. And that's a lot like my car. My car actually has automatic climate control. Hooray. But, that's about it. And the fact that they did that for that generation was like, oh, that's cool. It's a lot like mine, but gotta stick with the third generation, though.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go with an interesting one. The longest running nameplate in American cars is not a car at all. It is, in fact, the Chevy Suburban, the longest running name, which is crazy.
You wouldn't, man. If you would have thought that, especially by saying it's not even a car, I bet you 95% of people listening, if not more, went, oh, F-150.
Exactly. That's what I thought it would be too, honestly. No. It's not.
Suburban.
This one's so odd because obviously a vehicle that's been around since the 30s, like those iterations are pretty wild.
Those are cool.
Way
I
back
like
in
the
the day.
40s. I like the 41, 46. Those,
I actually picked the third generation.
I didn't pick that one. I just like the style.
Oh, I gotcha. I picked the third generation, the 47 to 54. You've seen it in a old-timey movie of some kind.
We will post photos. We're not going to go through describing what all of these look like. We'll be here all night.
I really don't know how to describe it other than it looks old, but it's got this kind of...
if it was black, it'd be a bank robber getaway car.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. it's got like this 4 headlight kind of thing that I think is totally epic. And there's something about it. I don't really like old cars, but this is okay. And the rest of them are less okay.
This one would also, I don't know if this helps or hurts your case here, but the design of the 47 Suburban inspired the design of the HHR.
That makes a lot of sense. Actually, this one's trash, and I hate it.
Wait, amendments.
No, you know what?
We have breaking news from Andrew's corner.
That actually explains a ton, because this looked great in 1947.
But did
Not as
not
nice
look
in the
great
early
in 1997.
It did. 2007, I think it was.
Oh, was it 07?
No, bleh.
Bleh.
I don't want to think about that.
You bittered his mouth with that mention of the HHR.
You did. You made it worse. God damn it.
You're welcome.
All right, let's hear yours then, ruiner of things.
My favorite generation of the... Excuse me. My favorite generation of the...
Excuse me.
I didn't have time to mute the mic. And I was mid-sentence. My favorite generation of the Suburban, I'm actually going back to the early 90s on this. The GMT 400, which was the 8th generation, is my favorite.
The giant...
oh, yeah, the land yacht.
Yeah, the huge one.
Barn doors in the back.
Yes.
Like, they swing out to the side instead of like any other tailgate does now, going bottom up.
That's great.
Yeah. And also, although it was a Tahoe, same styling, this was my first vehicle. So again, there's some sentimental value to it.
Oh, yeah.
I drove the same style of vehicle.
You drove the carbine version.
Slightly shorter. Slightly shorter. But yeah, from 92 to 99, let's see here. Anybody cares? It introduced the independent front suspension to the line.
Oh my God. In what year?
1992.
Wow.
Let's see what else came. The 0 to 60 time, 9.3 seconds.
Brisk.
I feel like I could have gotten... Well, mine was a Tahoe. So
Yeah.
Maximum of 98 miles an hour. And...
once. Until you roll it.
Right, yeah, because that would have been very touchy.
Dead straight, no wind.
Yeah. Downhill.
Imagine a tank slapper in that.
Nope.
The fuel economy, whew, if you want to call it economy, that's kind of oxymoronic. 13 miles per gallon city. Actually, not terrible.
All right, Wikipedia.
The turning circle was 48 feet.
Wow. That's not a turning circle. That's a parking lot.
What? I don't even understand that. If you got into a parking garage in that, how would you get out?
You wouldn't. Ever. You'd be stuck.
Back out.
How'd you go from one lane to the next lane? Genuinely. Like, how would you do that?
I have no idea. Yeah, so the turning radius was essentially an entire state.
Yikes.
All of Rhode Island.
All of Rhode Island.
That's shocking.
But yes, 8th gen, the GMT 400 is my favorite Suburban.
And for the first time ever, we have it's only the second car, I guess, but hey, a universally different choice.
Sure.
Mine is a 7th generation. It ran forever. 1973 to 1991.
Ooh.
We had one of those too.
And it survived the 80s.
It did. And
just barely.
And it had just, in my opinion, the most classic Suburban look to it, where starting with the generation that you had, Nick, the 8th generation, they had the wheels fill the wheel wells more. It came down closer to the road. It's still a Suburban. It's not gonna like hit any speed bumps or anything. But these ones looked still truly off-road, had locking differentials, had little deedly wheels with big tires on them, and
big wheel wells too.
Yeah, and
like you can stick your entire head.
Lots of suspension travel,
probably up to your shoulders between the top of the tire and the top of the wheel well.
Also had the rear ambulance doors.
It did.
And just for me, it's because this is the one that they made and didn't have a reason to change the longest.
Right.
And it came with like 8 different sizes of V8, a diesel, a straight 6. Like, you could get it with any motor you wanted to, depending on where you were in the world.
Anywhere from 250 cubic inches all the way up to 454. A 7.4 liter V8.
Yeah, huge. Like Ford is releasing, re-releasing their like 7.5 liter V10.
Yeah, dear Lord.
As a huge engine. So I mean, these things could haul. In the words of my dad, he could call. He drove one of these around to the parks department too, which is I guess probably where the familiarity comes from. But like he's like, you could throw all the summer campers in it, and tow the entire stage around that they were driving, that they were doing stuff on, because it was just relentless in its grunt.
Oh, it was a workhorse.
And I think from the original, it was the suburban carryall. Was like the very first generation of them, and this could carry all things, and kind of was still with its still tied to its very utilitarian roots, and I like that. So that's why that one's my choice, and I also think it looks, especially for the time, especially the earliest ones, they did kind of stop bending the sheet metal slowly and started folding it. As that generation went on, they didn't really change much other than how gradual the curves were. Especially the earlier 70s and early 80s ones that kind of had rounded sheet metal. I think those look fantastic. A lot like the K-series Chevy trucks of the time, too. So
I can get behind that. I think that's a good choice.
I think this is also the first one that was produced right here in our home state of Wisconsin.
It is.
The one down in Janesville plant. Yep. In the Janesville plant. I think mine is better because you said it right off the bat. Mine is easier to get into. It's lower.
You are 3.5 miles tall. Why is this a concern for you? Just walk in.
It's not for me. I'm thinking of the other people.
You're not.
I'm short and I can get in.
What if they're stubby like you?
I just hop right in, like a little leprechaun.
Boink.
Thanks for the sound effect. Thanks for the sound effect. It works. But that also takes away from its capability.
In a marginal capacity.
Yeah. But it does.
Yeah, yes, but it does.
Okay, fact. You got me.
Fact.
All right, then let's talk about a vehicle that's exclusively utility.
Yes.
The Ford F-150. This one's kind of tough for me.
Not necessarily exclusively utility, because they did branch off on the 10th generation.
Yes. That's actually one will you close Wikipedia? We know. But
I didn't have my notebook. This is what I have to look at.
I actually that is one of the reasons why this is kind of a tough choice. I really like the 9th generation, which is, I mean, it just looks like an truck. Like that's what you think of when you think of truck, or at least that's what I think of.
Google stock photo of a pickup truck.
I mean, it's guaranteed to be one, basically. But the 10th generation looks similar, and they had the Ford, the Lightning, which was
the SVT.
The SVT Lightning, which is cool. But that's really just one trim, and is it worth it? No. So I think I have to go with the 9th generation, simply because it's like quintessentially 90s, but also I feel like so many trucks have looked almost exactly like this at one point. I don't know if Ford started it or if it, was like they copied it from someone, but just this is what it is, kind of unapologetically.
All right. Tristan, you want to take it or want me to go next?
I'll take a shot at it. I am a passable, truck connoisseur, but I've never been a Ford person.
Connoisseur.
Passable. But I've never been a truck person.
I don't think the word's truck.
Sorry, I've never been a Ford person.
Why not?
I don't know.
Not even the Raptor?
The Raptor has some interest, but I'd rather have a Power Wagon.
I think we'd all rather have a Power Wagon.
But
I just want to say that I don't think the words truck and connoisseur belong in the same sentence.
Well, get enlightened. Move with the time.
Get enlightened.
Get enlightened.
So what I had to do is, because of that, you actually brought up a good point. I went with the 12th generation, which is the first Raptor edition.
Yes.
And when they really started going after, in my opinion, I like what pickup trucks do, but I don't necessarily like a lot of what they stand for, which is just like big and stupid and I don't care about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was with this 12th generation that Ford started considering that they might have to make their trucks more efficient and started the base power plant were those EcoBoost motors. And I think there was some question as to reliability on them, but that has been reliability and utility, and I think that's been put to bed. I think especially the EcoBoost, the twin turbo V6 ones,
yes,
are entirely capable of hauling your boat to the lake and your camper up north, and it won't haul 80 horses or whatever, but most people never need that. And I think Ford's kind of bold-ish move towards saying like, we're going to sell a truck that's like one of the higher output engines is not a V8.
Well, I mean, if you look at that EcoBoost, it's more than just like somewhat reliable. I think that's gone into the rarefied air of the bulletproof. I mean, think of what that engine has gone into from the Ford GT on racetracks to
Ford GT, the Mustang,
the show, and just kind of, with power, yes, but you're not stressing that engine.
No.
And the Raptor off-road, heat, cold, that kind of, I mean, that seems to be a basically perfect engine, more or less.
And that test bed really started with putting it, grinding it out in the F-150.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of its most high stress applications, and it fared well. So that move towards the much maligned, but in my opinion going to be necessary, aluminum bodies, turbocharged engines, Ford was willing to throw that on the table and be like, deal with it, truck people. And they not only dealt with it, they bought a ton of them still.
Yes.
And so that's
to the tune of almost $1 million a year.
Yeah. And so
fucking insane.
I think it was a gamble / deal with it moment that was, I think, pivotal to a lot of what Ford has done since then. I hope that it wasn't the reason they decided they weren't going to make cars anymore, and I don't necessarily think it was, but I think it formed a lot of their truck and high performance vehicle and other futures from that generation onwards. So I think it was important, and it was important to me because it was actually the first time I'd ever considered buying one. So
okay. This one was difficult for me, not because I liked them all. Like Subaru was kind of the opposite. I'm just not a fan of the F-150.
He spent a lot of time in an F-150. He's got bad memories.
We know. Wait, what? You have bad memories of an F-150?
Yeah, that was our sales vehicles are all F-150s.
Oh, shit.
I spent 4 years, like 8 or 9 hours a day in I am very intimately familiar with F-150s.
Forgot about that.
But I've never necessarily been a huge fan of them, even after I got to drive them.
Brand allegiance.
Probably. But I started thinking about this, and regardless of how I feel about it, like objectively, this is the truck of trucks, and there's no getting around that. Like, top selling truck for how many? 40 some years now in a row?
Whatever it is.
Yeah, and reliably reported as on the road for
ever.
A simply astonishingly long time across all vehicles.
Yes, it is objectively a good vehicle.
They're not joking. Longest lasting trucks on the road.
I thought that was Chevy.
That was Chevy.
No, they were. That was the Like a Rock thing. But the F-150, there was a time when they were saying that they were because they were.
Could have sworn that was a Chevy. I thought actually longest lasting trucks on the road was actually
Chevy's
a Chevy slogan.
Well, probably, but the newest ones, the Dennis Leary commercials, bring up how long because now they are. They beat out Chevy.
Oh, okay,
so,
there you go.
Yep.
So I started thinking about this, and for a line of vehicles to be this iconic, and it was in our Sweet 16 countdown, the F-150. I'm gonna have to go back to the to the one that started it all. I'm going to pick the first generation because it was, we talked about last week being on the leading edge of a revolution with Heinrich Racing. This F series, it wasn't even called the F-150 then, it was the F3 in 1950. It was called the Ford Bonus Built in 1948.
Cars were weird in the 40s.
Why can't we have cool car? I think that's a cool car name. Why can't we have that? Why can't we? And
the Carryall.
Why can't we have Cutlass Supreme back?
Because it sounds like a ice cream flavor.
Yeah,
maybe a sandwich.
It sounds like a sandwich.
Yeah.
But you could, I mean, Cutlass is cool, right? But then, instead of like the Taurus Show or something like that, Cutlass Supreme, that's your high performance, whatever. We're getting way off track here.
Instead, you've got Infinity QX exclamation point hypothesis square root of 4.
It's awful. What are they doing over anyway?
So yes, first generation 1948 to 1952 is my pick because it literally was the leading edge of the revolution of the pickup truck in America. So that is my pick. You got to start somewhere.
True. Did you guys see like last month, Hirota Saikawa, CEO of Nissan, was like, it's going to get really bad. And this month he was like, oh shit, I didn't think it was going to get this bad. Did you guys see that when they had a 98% profit drop? Whoops.
It's going to be bad.
Side note.
We're just talking about the Infinity stuff.
Yeah. Side note, Nissan's in trouble.
I don't think we talked about that in the podcast, but I got a hearty laugh about that.
Ha ha ha.
All right, let's go from the Ford F-150 to a car that, I mean, it has to be somewhat of a modern icon, but it doesn't seem like it gets consistent recognition in the Mercedes-Benz E-Class.
Upper level management starter kit.
I was interested when you mentioned. I roll with it. I did my research anyway. I was like, really, the E-Class, not.
I was going to go with the C-Class.
That was going to be my question.
I'm going to say C-Class, which would have been like, working man's hero Mercedes, or S-Class. Bring up something ridiculously luxurious into this discussion, and you kind of went in the middle. I was interested when you mentioned it. So.
I really, the reason why I picked this is because it's a really interesting car. It is sort of in the middle, but it's also, in a lot of ways, been like a technology or class leader.
Especially AMGs.
And also it has a list of predecessors that are nothing short of fetishized the W115, the W123, the W110, the W121. All those are predecessors to the E-Class.
I'm glad you mentioned the W110 because I love that car.
Really?
Yes. The little fins and the whole deal. I think it's
the whole deal.
I was going
to rear view mirrors coming off of the. Is that the hood? It's the fenders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Look at that.
Yep. Now I didn't bring it up because it isn't strictly an E-Class.
It is not. I expected someone to fight for one of those.
That was when I was done. When I was done talking about it, I was going to bring it up as an honorable mention because I think it's so neat. I do have an actual official choice as well, but I'm so glad you brought it up because, man, I love that car.
That's a really cool looking car.
I mean, it's just that. So that's why I picked the E-Class instead of all the other ones that may be more obvious choices. There's something about this car where it's almost like everything up to the first one, up to the actual name E-Class is, something we're supposed to worship. But the E-Class itself sort of gets overlooked. And I think that there have been some pretty cool versions of this car. My personal favorite is, for no other reason than just purely looks, I really like the 4th gen, which ran from 09 to 16. It's called the W212. There's just something about it.
That's my pick also.
That's cool. It's classy. And, so in 09, because this is a car that they pack a lot of technology into, in 09, it had blind spot monitor, lane keeping assist, attention assist, and the night view. Just crammed with all of this stuff that's just now becoming an industry standard.
And all of that at $4,600 less retail than the previous model.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, and that was why I chose it, is because my dad, Mercedes, not so closet Mercedes fan. Never, just he's owned 2 decades apart, doesn't make an effort to go buy them or talk about them all the time. But clearly, there's an interest there.
Yeah.
Because when I was little, we were driving around. Even when I was in high school, we'd drive in places and he'd point them out and talk about them. And you could just see him just so sad. In the intervening years, like early in the E-Class, exciting. Latest in the E-Class, exciting. And then there was intervening years where it was just so dull. That E-Class was just so mopey. The whole thing.
Yeah.
And, you could see him be sad about it. And then that W212 came out, and they had the crisp edges. It had all the technology. And you could tell that the engineers were allowed to run the Asylum again.
Right.
And that's why I was like, it's the triumphant return of the magnificently over-engineered Mercedes. And that was why I chose it. And the bonkers, not even actually AMG edition, just the S trim where AMG tuned the engine in that car.
Yeah.
600 horsepower at the flywheel. 600 horsepower at the flywheel.
Yep.
Which is like, and they were like, oh, it's only like 5 something. Like 5.
Well, when you say only, it was rated off the factory floor at 577 horsepower for a luxury sedan.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, and
that is fantastic.
And then people have dynoed them at the flywheel at 600 plus.
Yep.
Because AMG's like, oh, it's only 500. Don't worry, it's only 500 something. We only just
that's for insurance
We only
purposes.
tinkered with it a little. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's AMG. They don't do that.
Right.
I was just looking out of curiosity to see compare that design of that car with the 5th gen, the E60 flame surfaced 5 Series. Because is that the direct comparison? 5 Series, or would that be the 7 Series? No, it would be 5 Series.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that ran that 5 Series ran from 03 to 2010. So it only took Mercedes the majority of that run to redesign their car to make it look a little updated. Because before that, they all had the E-Class had the 2 circle headlights. Everyone recognizes those.
Yep.
So
in the
ugly.
middle, that's during the dull times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Even earlier, it was the kind of one assembly.
Yes.
Yeah.
The boxy one assembly
Mm-hmm.
and the W124. But yeah, then you got the two gens of circle headlights. And I agree with you guys, 4th gen across the board. It's the one. Also, interesting note. So we talked about like midlife facelifts. So like the 2nd gen Subaru had the facelift actually twice in the middle of the run.
Mid-cycle.
It's crazy that's one generation, by the way. I know we didn't mention it at the time, but those 3 cars look like just different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Mercedes in 2013 facelifted the W2 2012, the 4th gen, to a tune of $1 billion in investment.
Oh my God.
The most expensive midlife facelift in the history of the automobile was on the 2013 E-Class.
And they were so proud of it.
Yes, they were.
That in the like a big poster that they put out for history of the E-Class,
They put the midlife
refresh
in as a separate
as
car.
its own thing. It was here all the generation facelift generation. It's like-
Yeah.
So,
But no, the looks are they're classy, but they're like sporty at the same time. It's got kind of the line down the middle it makes it look kind of aggressive, like just underneath the door handles.
Yes.
I don't think. Yeah, there's obviously not any argument. We all agree this is the one for the E-Class.
Heck yeah.
So, no debate there. No debate there.
Here's an interesting one. I guess once I started with the Suburban, I was just thinking long-running cars. There has to be a good line of continuity and something that has a progression or like a noticeable change. And so the next one is the Toyota Corolla, a car that's been many things, but I mean...
none of them interesting.
Some strong hate.
Yeah.
But
don't worry.
I gotta say, you're right. Because the only one that I actually like is the latest one, the 2018's the 12th gen. That car looks so good, and if Toyota had any goddamn sense, they'd give it some power, and then I'd buy one.
Not the, Sprinter AE86 Trueno?
Exactly. No, and that's a Sprinter, so it doesn't count.
Same frame.
I know. It's the same
Basically
car.
just a trim level.
Yes. No, I really like the new one.
Yeah.
And I like it best in the hatchback, but the sedan is not bad. It's just kind of like there's something eye-catching about it. And then I see it and I recognize it as a Corolla and then go, oh.
It's
but
a Corolla.
it's so slow.
Yeah.
But it's a Corolla.
But they brought back the hatchback with rev matching.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't get 200 horsepower with rev matching and a manual, not 200 horsepower. Why? Why do you hate me? Why do you hate me specifically?
For me, this was very hard to do, and I ended on the cop-out of, well, the new one looks the best.
It kind of does.
And I like they're all just econobox, boring. All the previous generations, I'm like, these are all awful.
But like Gen 1 and 2 are at least cute.
Yeah, with the little mirrors up on the front.
Yeah, they're cute.
Yeah, but I'm like, at least this new one, got up the nerve to steal some of the styling from the Camry, which looks good.
Yes.
I'm dying inside because I want to buy a Corvette, and I think the new Camry looks good.
I don't
know up is up or anything anymore.
The Avalon also looks good.
It does. And it had the gumption to steal some of that from the Camry, and I think it's the best looking one.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
They must have kept at least one designer from Scion when they closed that branch down.
No, I'm the same way. 12th gen. And because it's the only one worth looking twice at.
It has a personality. It has
the only one that has any sort of personality.
Well, and like a lot of other cars, even if you don't know which one's which.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, there are different generations of this car.
Yes.
Like, we talked about I'm not even super familiar with the Suburban. I'm like, I pictured like 3 or 4 different kinds.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there were some different ones. When I was reading through, like, oh, we're going to do the Corolla, I'm like, damn. I don't even know that. Aren't they all the same?
12 seems like a lot of generations.
Yeah, there's like 3. The first one, the middle one, and the new one.
I totally agree with you.
It was totally lost on me, the entire Corolla.
Well, it's crazy that I'm trying to figure out here when they actually started bringing them to the States. First one was in 1966.
I believe
that was the first generation. I'm not saying that's the first one that was in the States.
No, I think
you run into all sorts of weird stuff.
I think the 3rd gen was the first one that would have come to the U.S.
You run into all sorts of weird
74.
Stuff when you look them up too. It's like, because here's one that was only available at a supermarket in Hokkaido. Which
is also funny.
What's
the deal with cars at supermarkets in Japan?
Or like a specific car dealer. Like this one in Kyoto had this version.
Yep.
Like one lot. You could find them on one lot.
Which is really cool, and I'm all for that, actually.
Yeah, that's actually kind of neat. That adds to the exclusivity of it.
As long as you can get them serviced anywhere.
Well, here's one thing that I will say. There are some American dealerships that do that, but they don't do it cool. Like, they do... there's one dealership that took what's the GMC version of your truck, Nick? The
Canyon.
Yeah, it took the Cameron. They took the Canyon and they made a Typhoon, like the GMC Typhoon that they used to have. That's not cool. Don't do that. Bring something completely original, put your own name on it, and sell. I mean, I don't know if you can do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if dealership agreements would allow you to do that.
But show me something that I haven't seen before. Don't bring me some retro shit that I'm just gonna. No one wants the Typhoon. They want to play it on Gran Turismo. Like, you know what I mean? No one wants that.
Neon lasers and a light bar.
Yeah, exactly. But I wish more people would do it in a cool way. What's the term for that? Copo was a Chevy dealer who would order a specific trim of usually a Camaro or a Corvette.
Yep.
Yes.
And they had such clout with GM that they could put in custom part orders that were all, they were all in the manual, but you normally couldn't put them together like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Copo Camaros.
Yep.
I remember hearing about those.
Or Corvettes.
Corvettes too, yeah. But no, as far as the Corolla goes, the new one is the only one that's, like I said, worth looking twice at.
Definitely.
Because somebody actually thought outside of a box as far as, how to design a grill or headlights or fascia.
Yeah.
Like, Good on that designer, but yeah, it needs.
All I can think of as he's listing parts are how I made fun of the Toyota commercials back in the day. This car has doors.
Oh yes.
Like highlighting regular pieces of the car.
Yeah,
That's what happens when you make boring cars, though.
You have to highlight doors,
wheels.
wheels. So yeah, 12th gen across the board on the Corolla.
Easy sweep.
Moving on.
Last one, and one of our almost was that in our final two for the car of all time, the Ford Mustang. Is that the second place?
Was it second?
I think it fell to the Beetle.
The Beetle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yes.
So there actually haven't been that many Mustangs.
No, I come to find out.
just for anyone who's interested, there haven't been that many different ones.
Yeah, we're only on generation 6 right now.
Bizarre.
Since 1965.
Yeah. Anyways, looking through, I honestly thought that I would land on newest gen again as being the best one. But the one I actually like was never actually made. What I really like is the prototype for the 5th gen. Because remember, Tristan, that was the Mustang in grid, which launched before the Mustang. The only primary difference is it actually looks way different than the car that they actually brought out. So, when they reintroduced the Mustang, I was actually super disappointed in how the car looked, because it looked not like the prototype. I ended up going with
the Ford Mustang GT concept.
Yes,
I'm trying to find it. I don't remember myself. So,
I ended up going with another one that everybody hates, with the Mustang 2, because I think Mustang 2 is a funny name, and also because, the car is a little ridiculous. It's a little bit gauche. So why can't
this is the one that's based on the Pinto, right?
Yeah. So why not go with the most ridiculous version of this car?
So you didn't take this one very seriously.
Why can't I like it? Why can't I like that one?
Well, why would you? If you're taking it seriously.
Because I do.
I just feel like you're doing it just to spite everybody.
And I can do both.
You do know who you're talking to, don't you?
I can do both. Also, Lee Iacocca like this car, so suck it.
Well.
Says Lee Iacocca.
R.I.P. in peace.
That's right.
From beyond the grave.
That's right.
He says, suck it.
He liked it because he wanted it made.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was his Mustang.
Yes. Legend.
Oh, God.
Fight me. What's yours?
First generation. Clearly.
Lame. That's such a lame answer.
Genesis. The birth. Also.
Did you say birth with an F?
I did.
Okay.
Nick, what's your first gen? Well,
also,
no,
Lee Iacocca.
No, I am not.
I know.
The first one that he liked.
The first one.
His favorite child.
You like this one more.
The firstborn.
That he was trying to recreate the success of, but smaller with the Mustang. How's that for an endorsement of yours? I want the cool Mustang, but smaller.
Yeah. the little baby version.
No, I think it spawned as the name implies, and we discussed in our iconic episode, the pony car battles, for years. And all of that was driven by the creation of the Mustang.
It's very true.
It's a fair answer.
It's very true. My pick is actually what you were wanting to pick. I'm picking the 5th gen from, what was that, 2004 to 14, 2005 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
I had not played the grid game, so I did not see what the concept looked like, so I wasn't disappointed when this came out. I was actually... What I remember when this car was launched was that this was like the first one to really do the whole retro thing.
Yeah.
And I remember, even though, again, I'm not a Ford person per se, I remember really being drawn to this one because of the fact that it was so different when it launched. It didn't look like anything else being made at that time.
I do love the louvered rear windows option.
The louvered rear windows. And every single every single different iteration of it, different model, looks good. Like the premium convertible from 05 or the 2010 GT I'm looking at here too on the screen. Like every single one of them looks awesome.
We saw one of the Laguna Seca ones at the track, and that was
so
cool.
That year
Yes.
was the year they put out the Laguna Seca edition and the Boss 402 edition.
Yep.
In the same year for different reasons. Like there was the track car and the drag car, and they're both based on that generation.
I thought that was going to be a thing they did moving forward, and they haven't even brought it back.
Yeah, I mean, and they have, but not in such a name. It's because they're Ford, they can't help themselves. There's the was it like SP1 and SP2, Sport Package 1 and Sport Package 2,
yeah.
and those ones are the ones that are like just nearly Shelby's, and you've got GT350s and GT500s.
And then of course, you got the GT500 Shelby 5.8 liter supercharged 6-speed with 662 horsepower.
Now, bear in mind though, without the supercharger, when we're talking about that E-Class, think
600.
Think about that number though.
Yeah.
Yikes! Just to go back there for a minute.
Just to put it in perspective. Yeah.
But no.
Why wouldn't Ford run that back now and give us a Laguna Seca and or a Boss of some kind?
Especially Boss is an iconic name for them.
Yeah, but they still keep making stupid bullet Mustangs. Like, why are they doing this?
People buy them.
I know, but dumb people.
Commoditized.
It's a commodity. Commoditized.
No, if I were going strictly on looks, though,
These places make their money on the stupid people buying stuff.
don't tell them that. That's fine. If I was going surely on looks, though, it's definitely the new one. I
Really
love that car.
I think it got worse just in this latest iteration, like this facelift or whatever they did. I think it's worse. There's just something of it that smacks of like the 2 generation ago Elantra to me. I just can't shake it.
Yeah.
Ever since I first saw it, I was like, oh.
I think the new one looks like it has a really, really big overbite. Like it looks big in the snoot.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, that's part of it.
But they're going for that kind of Mach 1 thing.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And that's why.
Yeah, but the original one was executed much better then.
But I think personally, because I think they look good at speed when you see them on the racetrack.
But you can't use everything looks cool on the racetrack.
Yeah, but
when you throw spoilers and splitters and roll cages in them.
Yeah, but they don't even add that much. They've got a spoiler, but it's compared to some.
That's it.
Compared to some of the other ones,
it's got a massive splitter.
I know, but everybody else does too, and
That's not helping your argument.
And so did the other generations that also did this. Did the 5th generation not also have a large spoiler and a splitter?
I mean, yes, but
shut up. So I think it looks fantastic in race car trim, even compared to the 5th generation. And I like it in person because not in race car trim, what it reminds me most of is actually obviously a larger version, but of the AMG GT, where it's all smooth lines, cockpit at the back, big nose. It's different. It is not the same. Yeah, like a Viper too. But it's reminiscent of, not a copy, but that same like clean lines, no door handles sticking out, very little lip spoiler at the back. It looks like it was left in a wind tunnel for 100 years and eroded that way.
Just naturally grew this way.
I love it, but just from a looks perspective.
But that wasn't your pick.
No, it wasn't, because I don't go on just looks. I'm not a shallow person.
I mean,
we made it through.
Yeah.
You sound disappointed.
Because I just looked again at what they call the Ford Mustang in grid, and it is in fact that GTR concept. That is what the car should have looked like. We'll post a picture of this too, because I really do think this is what the new Mustang, the brought back Mustang, should look like. It's
reminiscent of the Shelby. Ended up looking more like that one.
It really does. But yeah, it's just not the same. There was something else I wanted to bring up. Yeah. So I looked it up. Even read back through IMSA Radio's tweets. And they don't mention anything about a Spirit of the Race for Road America. So naturally, I think we have to assume that we won.
We claimed it.
Yeah.
We were nominated, and no one voted, so we took it.
Exactly.
So therefore, we win.
We are now two-time
winners of IMSA Spirit of the Race.
That's right. God damn it. And when we get John Hindhoff on, he can dispute it with us.
He can either prove us right or wrong, but we will listen to what he says because he's John Hindhoff.
That's right.
What John Hindhoff says goes.
You know what? I'm going to tweet him and ask him. We'll get this resolved.
Don't ask. He mentioned the fans, so just say, hey, did the fans end up winning that Spirit of the Race?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not did Check Engine Podcast win it?
Well, that's how. Yeah, we'll sneak it.
We'll sneak it in.
We'll sneak it.
Be very sneaky and sly about it.
But for now, I mean,
provisional poll.
Exactly.
Until further notice, we are now 2-time winners of IMSA Spirit of the Race. Congratulations, guys!
That's right, we did it.
Nice job.
Don't pull a Honda America Racing team.
That's right.
Or that McLaren. Don't celebrate too early.
Seeing that, well, obviously there on race day, you only see it on the replay screen. Seeing that in high def makes it so much worse.
It does.
It's so much worse.
Because not only did he lose the race, he almost wrecked 2 cars.
Yeah.
And it was like,
wow.
Yikes.
That was brutal.
Anyways, let's get out of here. Guys, who or what are we thanking?
I want to thank so many different people just because it's been such an incredible time since we last recorded. But I mean, listeners, I guess, fans, likers, Facebook people, Twitter people, anyone.
As
Instagram.
of tonight, we are at 199 likes.
We were
Facebook.
not even at 100. We were not even at 100 at the beginning of the year. We're at what, 97?
Yeah. Yep.
Something like that.
In like January, that I don't remember, but
I remember our initial goal was to be 100 at the end of the year, and we did not make that.
Right, and here we are at 199.
Amazing.
I just want to somebody out there just go like us 200, please. We'll send you a sticker or a koozie or something.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who's helped us get this far, and we're still going. We're gonna keep going.
We're building on the second floor now.
That's right.
Yeah, we officially closed the first floor.
A
couple episodes ago. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, so thanks to everyone.
Tristan.
I would like to, bit of an unconventional approach, and obviously non-specific because we try not to bring this into it, but I would like to thank my place of employment for understanding that there are more things important in life than going to work. And that they
don't recognize that too often.
That's what I mean, though. There is a work-life balance, and that is understood. And by allowing people to have a work-life balance, they can do things like pursue their passions, like this podcast, and things like that. So I think I'd like to shout out my current employer and call out any employers who don't understand that. Because the time has come for Americans to stop working a zillion hours a week. We got to get vacations.
I'm ready for him to stand on the table.
Exactly. We got to get vacations.
Where's his soapbox?
Leave. All sorts of things. And I appreciate it from my current place of employment. So thank you. That's how we get to do all this cool stuff.
Who am I thanking? I want to thank... I think we did this already. We kind of paid tribute, but I want to thank Lee Iacocca.
That's fair.
Just looking down here at this list and seeing a Mustang on here and something we reviewed, like I'm trying to think of how crazy that would be to sit back in retirement in an old age and think of something like, yeah, that whole trend, this whole industry-wide push towards this type of car and this type of lifestyle. Yeah, that was me.
That was me.
Not even that was more me. Basic, like the way cars are built, like the very foundation of like before the car's even made, thinking about just the structure underneath. Like, how do you...
Every day is a good day to thank Lee Iacocca.
Yeah. So thanks, Lee. And as Andrew already mentioned, thank you to all the listeners out there who keep tuning in, despite the fact that we're not pros. We keep trying to tell people this, and no one listens.
And they keep making us do fun pro stuff. So inconvenient.
We're not pros, but you're still listening, and we so appreciate that. But we don't want you just to listen. This is a call. We want you to interact with us. Okay? We want you to go to checkenginepodcast.com. You can email us there, inbox at checkenginepodcast.com. What do you like? What do you not like? What would you like to hear us talk about? All of those different types of things. We are responsive to feedback.
Yes.
Good, bad, and indifferent. Please.
Literally, all you have to do is tell us you want an episode about something, and we will eventually do it.
Which reminds me, we do have to do an episode on dirt for that gentleman out west.
True.
Yes.
We did not forget about you, sir. It is in the queue somewhere.
All you have to do is put our sticker on your race car, and you immediately have 3 more fans. Done. Automatically.
So
yeah.
3 more fans with some little amounts of buying power, by the way. Merchandise.
A little bit.
A little bit.
So I'm not buying any NSXs. I thought that's where he was going with that.
No.
The other way.
We're not pros. God damn it. We don't have that kind of money. So yeah, checkenginepodcast.com is a great way to start if you want to get in touch with us. If you don't want to go the antiquated way of websites, you can hit us on the socials because that's what all the kids be doing these days.
I'm still petitioning for a TikTok.
No.
God. I hate you so much.
Instead, how about we talk about...
That was pure reaction. I could not have stopped that.
Don't give us that face. Instead, let's talk about Facebook. We're on Facebook at Check Engine Podcast. Tristan, I'm not going to look at you because I don't want to see that face, but we're on Twitter at...
Check Engine Pod. Why does it be Twitter? Why me for Twitter?
Andrew, we're also on Instagram at
Check Engine Pod. We haven't done this in like way too long.
We're rusty. If you're really, really into what we're doing, there's a couple other ways you could help out. One is by giving us money, and that is through our support pages. Either at anchor.fm/checkengine-podcast, there's a support button right there where we're streaming, or we also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/checkengine-podcast. If you don't want to give us money, that's cool. We'd like you to either A, give us a review, or B, click that subscribe button, because all that does is let you know when we come out with something new, and it's free. Doesn't mean you have to click it. Doesn't mean you actually have to listen. It just means that you're going to get a little boop. Hey, there's something new from Check Engine Podcast.
You're going to want to know because you never know when we're going to interview the next leading voice in something, motorsport.
Yeah, whatever.
Car economics.
Yeah, absolutely. NASCAR. I mean, we're just all over the place.
We're all over the board, and it's all by dumb luck. You never know what we're just gonna fall into
Sometimes
next.
It's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, exactly.
So, thanks for tuning in. Even if we suck, y'all are always awesome. And because of that, we can't wait to talk to you again. Until then, take care.
Bye.